creations. Today I'm going to be attempting to make a river table, means I have never done this before. I say attempting. I have done my research and found out that melamine is the best surface to put epoxy in as a mold because it's more than likely not going to stick. I have seen it where it sticks on some videos, so I got wax to put on the inside to help it to lift a little bit easier. I want to make a table that's about 24 inches wide by probably around 48 inches long, just around there or so. So I got this rip cut, means I'm not very good at sawing in a straight line, even if I draw a straight line. And this is going to help me to keep my cuts nice and even. All you do is attach your saw, your circular saw, to it. You want to make sure that when you're sawing you have your safety stuff, your goggles, your respirator mask. You don't want to breathe in all the particles from the wood. Sawdust probably isn't very good for your lungs. And in my case, I don't want to mess up my Naruto shirt, so I'm going to put on an apron. So I'm going to gather all of my safety gear and I will be right back. I'm back. I got my safety gear. I have my goggles, I have my respirator, and my apron. It's really hot, so these goggles are making my face sweat in this respirator. So I'm going to hurry up. I'm going to go ahead and make these cuts. I'm going to cut the edge off of the melamine because it's chipped away, so I'm going to take about an inch off because I don't want it to stick to my project. So let's get started. You're going to line up this part right here with the edge of your table. And that will be your guide the whole way across. Well, that's unfortunate. I don't know what happened. Okay. Now that my face is all sweaty and now that I have a straight edge, I'm ditching these. I don't think I can do it. Can't breathe with that thing on. So now that we have a straight edge across, and I have sawdust in my eye from using this rag, that was really stupid. We have a straight edge across. It's nice, it doesn't have a bunch of little chips in it like this one did. If you can see, which I don't know if you can on the edge of this one, there's a bunch of gouges in it, and I don't want all these gouges in it. So I'm going to put that to the side, and I want it to be approximately, I'm going to want it to be approximately 24 inches across. So to do that, I think this looks like a decent sized table. I think that for a coffee table it isn't too small. I'm going to use my tape measure and my pencil to mark off where I want to work. And actually, if this thing's kind of strange, I haven't used it before. and I want it to cut straight across. But as you can see, the guide goes along the edge of the table. That's no good. So, I don't know how to do that part, to be honest. I've never done it before. So, I think what I need to do is just saw a little bit bigger, take my blade off, my saw off, cut across this thing, and then come back and make a straight edge. So, I'm going to unattach this stuff, take the saw off, cut my edge, and then put it back together so that I can have a nice straight edge. I probably should have done more research on this, but hey, people don't always do that. I just said, oh cool, new thing that'll help me keep a straight line. So I will be right back. I'm going to take my saw off, I'm going to make a straight line across, and then I'm going to cut it, and I'll come back when I'm ready to cut it down and to make the sides of my mold. Okay, I'm back. I made the line, so instead of cutting it, I decided to go ahead and finish filming so you can see from start to finish. Excuse me, I have something in my eye. From start to finish what it took for me to make the mold. Because later on tonight, after it cools off some, I'm going to do the pour. But I thought for this video, it would be nice to be able to make the molds that I needed for the tables. I'm having brain farts today, so you gotta excuse me. The other goggles I had on were kind of uncomfortable, so I'm putting these other ones on. And as far as the respirator goes, it's, like I said, it's difficult to breathe, so I'm not gonna do that. Okay, so now we're gonna cut this piece down to where it's manageable, because after that I'm gonna put the saw back on the rip cut so that I can have nice straight even edges, and I only wanted the table to be approximately 24 by 48 inches. And I gotta be careful because yesterday I was making a mount for my table saw, because the table that you were supposed to buy for it to be mounted onto, none of the holes matched up with the table saw, so I had to improvise. So I cut down 2x4s, attached those, and then attached to the table saw. That's not safe. And I broke a blade cutting a 2x4, which was odd. So I had to be careful not to cut my blades again this time. And as you can see, I just chopped this thing and it's diagonal. So I'm going to put that to the side. I'm going to unplug it so I don't do anything stupid and end up getting hurt from it. I put another sawhorse in the middle to try to catch the melamine, so that, because this stuff is heavy, so that it wouldn't just fall and hit the ground. So see, as you can see on this one, it kind of tore. I didn't get the saw the whole way through and it tore. So I'm going to put this one to the side, and I need to move this big sheet for now off to the side, and I'm going to be making the sides of the mold with it also, but I need it out of my way for right now, or I might not. If I just stop to think about it for a second, I could go ahead and make the sides now and then put the rest away later. That would be smarter and a lot more efficient. So I'm gonna go ahead and lift this up here. I think my other sawhorse is like way too far away, so I'm gonna go ahead and scoot this one over. Like I said, I have one underneath, but it's shorter than the other two that I wanted to use. So I'm gonna go ahead and leave that one just so I can't leave it because it's taking up too much space. I know this seems like a mess and a whole lot of work, but when you're learning as you go, you don't always do things the best way the first time. So we'll put this sawhorse away. At least put it off to the side for right now. And I want to wipe some of the sawdust off so I can see what I'm working with here to make the sides to the mold. And I think it would be easier if I went ahead and cut the sides now, because that way this big old piece of wood won't be so hard for me to handle because I can't lift it on my own. So we're going to plug back in the circular saw, and I want that edge kind of smooth. I don't want it jagged like it is now, so I'm going to attempt to cut this off and see if I can get it off. And then we'll attach it back to the rip cut, and I'm going to do approximately, probably 3 inches high, because I only want to pour about 2.5 inches deep. So let's get this off so it's not so ugly, and so that it can even up with the rest of the wood. And that's about as pretty as that's going to get for now. So I want to attach it back to the rip cut. So I need to unplug it and figure out where the heck I put it. This thing is kind of long, so I had to put it out of the way of everything else. And I'm dropping stuff. So we're going to go ahead. I don't think I got that high enough. I'm going to attach my saw back. And to do so, you just screw these little screws down in until it reaches the base of your saw. I don't want this thing flying away on me. I was hoping in the end I would have enough melamine left to make a round mold, just the base of it. But I don't know if that's going to happen because it seems like this stuff went pretty fast. So we'll see. Okay? Like I said, I want my sides be approximately 3 inches. So I'm going to unclamp that, and I want to move this, which really has been giving me a difficult time. It doesn't appear as if it really wants to move that great. So I want it about 3 inches. And then you clamp it back. It's as far down as it's going to go. Plug my saw back in. Put my goggles back on, and I'm going to make 4 of these. Same size, same width, same length. I'll cut down the 2 sides, or the 24-inch sides, after I'm finished. So, let's get these sides done and see how it turns out. Here's one. It's not perfect, but I can just take the router and make the edges a little cleaner if I want. And there's a little bit left there. So we use the ugly sides facing up instead of facing down. And we need 3 more. Two. There's 3 in that one fell on my foot. That didn't feel too good. 3. 4. So it looks like I may have enough to make another mold after all. I want to make, the next one I want to make a circular table, which I've never even attempted before. But I think it'd be nice as like a little side table for like a bedroom, or a little side table next to a couch. So we have all 4 of our pieces. I'm going to clean up my workspace a little bit because now it's really full of sawdust. And it's really nasty, so I'll be back in a couple minutes. Okay, we're back. I got everything cleaned up. There's a butt ton of sawdust everywhere, so it took a while. I still haven't gotten it off of everything. Like, there's still sawdust on this, and I used a shop vac. It didn't work. So, we're ready to make the mold. I am going to use this aluminum foil tape. I have seen during my research that Tyvek tape is another good source to put on your mold so that the epoxy doesn't stick to it. This is my first time. I don't have Tyvek tape. I don't feel like running to Walmart to go get it. So I'm going to try this aluminum foil tape. I was watching this video one day, my husband showed it to me, and this guy had used aluminum foil tape when he was sealing up all the cracks on the outside of his mold. So I was thinking, why not try the aluminum foil tape? If I can figure out how this thing comes apart, that'd be nice. So I'm gonna put the tape down across the whole entire thing before I put the mold together. I don't know, well, that wasn't very effective, it just came apart. I don't know how well it'll work, and it's kind of crinkly, so, you know, maybe not. I'm going to see if I can get it to come out nice and even. If not, I'm going to abort this mission and I'm going to use something else. So I want it across the whole entire thing. I don't want anything coming off. So I think the easiest way to do this would to be cut it so that I know what size strips I will need. I need it to be about that long. So I'm just going to cut a bunch of strips about this size. And then lay them down and see how it works. And hopefully it doesn't wrinkle up like aluminum foil usually would when being handled. And it's okay if it's a little longer, it's just going to go along the side of your mold anyway, so that doesn't really matter too much. This is going to be a long, tedious process. I can say, however, that this stuff sticks really well. So, cover the mold with it, and it's still wrinkled. I don't know if I like this because it's wrinkled. I don't want wrinkled epoxy. But then again, I could just use a planing bit and just take off a tiny, tiny bit to make sure that it's smooth. Or I can just sand the living daylights out of it, either way. So, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use the tape. Because I'm curious to see, I'm going to combine it with the wax I got. And I'm going to see how well that works. Because the worst that's going to happen is I'm going to end up busting my mold. Which I really don't want to do because the melamine is not cheap. For the big board I had, my husband told me it was $40. He picked it up for me for my birthday. And he said it was $40. So not everyone has $40 laying around. I certainly don't with 8 children, 1 on the way. And I think it's like 13 pets we're up to now. So I certainly don't have the most money in the world. So I would like to not waste it. I would like to be able to use it over and over again. So hopefully this turns out. I'm going to go ahead, tape everything up. I'm going to tape the sides that are going to be the inside of the mold. So I'm going to tape here and here on each one of these, and then when I come back we'll put the mold together and see how it turned out. Okay, we're back. It's time to drill the screws into the mold. I got the whole inside taped up. Hopefully this tape works. I guess we'll see. I haven't, like I said, I've never done a river table before, so I don't know whether this tape will work or not, but if it sticks to it, I'll just sand it off. So, beans, my screws don't seem to want to work for me. For some reason, I'm going to just use a little drill bit and drill in and then insert my screws so that it doesn't end up getting messed up. And I kind of just want to, I don't really want huge holes from my drill, from my bits. I want smaller holes. And that's a really tiny bit, so I hope it's not a pain in my rear end. And that one's secure. Everything's secure. So I'm going to go through and make little itty bitty holes. Hopefully I'm about halfway up. And I'm going to do this the whole entire way around. So that way I can fasten it together with the little wood nails. And this one isn't fitting so great, so I might have to change that one up a little bit. And I'm thinking this tape is kind of sort of making it so that it's kind of making it to where it's not sitting really flat because it overlaps on both the sides. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to screw all these in, I'm going to get everything secure. And then I'll show you how I'm going to seal up the cracks inside the mold. Okay, so I didn't want to bore you with drilling holes and putting screws in and blah, 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 blah. So my daughter and I went ahead and finished screwing it together. If you hear noise in the background, that's my son. He won't shut up. And he's giving everyone else a hard time. So I brought him out here with me. So please ignore him. We're going to call fit inside now. And then when it's dry, I'm going to go ahead and peel up the excess and my mold will be ready to use. I also am going to go ahead and on the outsides in the joints, I'm going to put a little bit of hot glue so that there's no seepage, because I'm going to have to take this project inside because it is too hot for epoxy in 100-degree weather. So we're going to go ahead and caulk all along the seams on the inside and all along the seams on the inside. And another thing I noticed when I said earlier when we started putting the tape down is that it was really crinkly. So I just used a plastic putty knife and gently went across it, and it smoothed it out really, really well. So I shouldn't have too much, like too many waves or too many crinkly parts on the bottom of my epoxy that I need to stand out. So I'm going to start here. And this buzzer don't want to work. I don't know if it, no, it's okay. I'm going to go ahead and tighten it. Maybe that is where I'm going wrong. We'll tighten this little sucker up. Let me tell you, learning how to do all this stuff is really difficult when you don't know what you're doing. I've never used caulk before for anything. I've never had to. So I'm learning as I go. And it feels like it's almost secure. Let's see if this one works. It's not. That is my luck. It looks like it may have solidified, which I don't see how that's possible, but I already cut the tip, so it's not that. I'm not that stupid. Got more brains than that in me. So, let's see. And for anyone that doesn't know how to use this stuff, this is a good example of how to use it. And what happens when you don't know what you're doing. You can learn from my mistakes. Okay, so I'm going to take this out. It is pushing it, but see, it's coming out. So maybe, just maybe, I don't have this little thingy-majigger here tightened all the way. Now I have it against it tight. I'll try to tighten it a little bit more so that it doesn't give. And that holds it in place. So why it's not coming out is beyond me. Sealant puncture tool. So what I'm thinking is this is the tool. Probably should have read this first so I didn't look so stupid doing this. Oh, Lordy. Okay. So, I'm assuming what I did wrong is I didn't puncture the inside. See, you learn something new every day. Okay, so I used that. Now we'll see if maybe, just maybe, I can get it right this time. So push that back. Oh, and there it goes. I didn't puncture it. So that makes a lot of sense. And I used way too much on the inside. So I'm just going to push it along all the cracks. And please excuse the animals barking in the background. We have dogs who are complete and total morons. Okay. So I think I have all the on that side as far as I could reach. And I'm going to do one here. And I ended up, when I made my mold, I ended up with little gaps here and there that I could have went back and probably sawed it. But for one, I'm an impatient person and I wanted to hurry up and get it done. And for two, I figured maybe the caulk will make it so that it fills these gaps up for me. So I'm trying to thin layer across here. and up in the cracks. And it doesn't look as pretty as I would like. It's really messy. So, like I said, I'm going to go back and peel off what I can inside my mold when I am finished caulking well, when it dries. I'm going to caulk the whole thing, and then when it dries, I'm going to go ahead and peel off the excess. I have a really big gap on this side. I mean, it's not really big, it's maybe a centimeter big, but for me that's big. I didn't want any gaps at all. It's not flush. So I'm just gonna smush it down in there and wipe off the excess. I think between the two, between the caulk and the tape, I'm thinking I should be able to reuse my mold in the future. I at least want to get a couple uses out of it. Because it was kind of a pain in the rear end to make in the first place. And that's a lot of money to spend just to break a mold apart and not be able to use it again. So make sure I'm running my finger along here, making sure I have it all sealed, all the cracks, and getting off as much of the extra as I can. And then I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and flip this over, and I'm going to super glue it from the bottom where the gaps were. So that way it kind of fills it in, and it's not just the caulk that's sitting there kind of in a way of supporting the epoxy. So I'm going to get this mess cleaned up, and I'm going to go ahead and super glue this on my own, and then I will be back later today to make my first river table. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll see you later tonight.